Hello and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Woodin. I'll be your host. I'm joined by my co-host, Katrina Kat Zigwolf.
Evening, everybody.
Kat, welcome back. We were talking earlier. It's been about a month since we've been on air.
We skipped an episode, so yeah, back at it again.
Yeah. Hopefully, we don't have too much rust. And for the viewers out there, you'll notice my voice is a little off, battling a cold. So. If you hear me go south for a minute or two, it's because of the cold. But anyways, we have another great guest with us today, Chris Connelly. He's the owner of CMB Circuits. Where are you located, Chris?
Well, located in Quaker Hill.
Quaker Hill.
Yes. Sorry, that was a mouthful there.
Yeah, no, it's listen. It happens. It happens all the time.
And that's Connecticut for those who are watching it remote.
You know, one of the things we've tried to do this year is we tried to, branch out in some of the show topics that we've had. A lot of them are, some of them are first responders.
Yep.
And we're also going into veteran-owned businesses. We thought that was a great way to advance the show.
Yeah.
On top of the stuff we're completely dedicated to, PTSD, suicide, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But we're honored to have you here, Chris.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Chris, you served.
Yes, I did.
Can you tell the viewers when and where?
I can do that. I started out in 2000. I went in the year 2000 into the Marine Corps. Got out in 2007. Actually, after an injury in Iraq, it put me out. But yeah, I was all over during that time. I spent most of my time at Camp Lejeune, spent a couple of years in Okinawa. So, fun times.
You did a little time in the sandbox.
Did a little time in the sandbox.
Well,
I was out there 3 times, and then
three tours?
yes, and then I actually came home and turned around and went to Afghanistan for 2 years.
You paid your dues.
I figured I wasn't done yet.
Yeah.
Well, he was on the paying side, so he was a contractor. So.
But then I'll tell you that the last day I was in Afghanistan, when I was finally going home, went to breakfast that morning on my way to the PAX terminal and ran into my recruiter.
With your car?
The same one that...
Humvee?
No, he was at the chow hall eating breakfast right next to me. The same one that dropped me off at MEPS here in Springfield.
Oh my goodness. Small world.
So I figured, okay, Chris, now you're done.
Full circle.
So now you're finally done. Let's go home.
Well, on behalf of the viewers, us here at the Veterans Corner, we want to thank you for your service.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Got a lot of information to cover. Kat, why don't you?
Yeah, so you have a circuit shop.
Yes, we do.
And, what got you into the electronics?
Well, did that in the Marine Corps.
All right.
So in the Marine Corps, I got the MOS of micro miniature circuit board repair and communication security repair.
All right.
So what that did is, and they told me back then, oh, you're going to hate it. All you're going to do is solder all day. I absolutely love soldering.
I was an electronics technician, and I was a total geek talking to him. I'm like, oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. I knew all the words all came back to me. It's been a while.
So it puts me at ease, and I figured, hey, let's keep doing it.
Then I could probably just sit over here by myself and listen to you guys and learn.
There you go. Now, a lot of times it's hard to flip military skills into civilian side. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
Well, like I said, when I got out, I ended up going to Afghanistan, ended up in a program that did all the surveillance cameras and all that. Did that for a while, 2 years, came home, figured I could do that same thing in the States, if need be. So came home, became a defense contractor stateside, and did that for many years, doing circuit boards, doing electronic repair. Went over to the commercial side of things. Actually, that's pretty recent. About 8 years ago, I went over to the commercial side of things and ended up working for a company that we used to buy our circuit boards from a guy who made them in his basement. Now,
yeah, I didn't realize it was a cottage industry, but apparently you can do a lot in your basement if you have everything set up right.
So every time the boards would come in, they'd be bad. So I'd have to turn around and rework the board and fix what was wrong with it. Well, for what they were paying for the board, what we were paying for the board, I thought to myself, well, I could do this. I'm doing the work anyway.
Yeah.
So
Turn it into a...
fast forward a few years and here I am.
All right. And then who still uses circuit boards? Because that was my first thought, is everything solid state nowadays?
Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be very surprised. When we first got into this, we were looking at the federal government. So looking at the federal government and the circuit boards they use and the contracts they're looking for maybe, 20 boards, 50 boards, whatever. And it's like, okay, well, we can do that. Keep it small batch of circuit boards. We can do that in-house, no problem. Well, we ended up at a DoD matchmaking event last year, and someone shoulder tapped me basically and said, "Hey, do you repair boards also?" And it took my brain, a fraction of a second to say, "Yes, we do." And I'm thinking to myself, we didn't even have repair on. We were just focused when we started on being a manufacturer. Didn't even have repair. So doing that, we ended up getting a small company in New York called Down Brown Bus Sales. So we work circuit boards for them. Fast forward, and we now do circuit boards for Metro North Railroad, little mom and pop shop.
Wow.
Yeah. We were talking in it.
Little mom and pop shop, the little guys.
Might have heard of them.
We got to
Yeah.
stay together, We try to stay together.
Metro North.
We were talking about that, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, all the legacy equipment. You can't afford to upgrade anything.
That's
so
exactly it.
guys like him can keep it alive. So we were talking elevators and schools and
on.
farm
Elevators?
equipment.
It costs millions and millions to upgrade these systems. When you can pay
Thousands.
me a couple thousand and I'll fix it.
Do you work with Otis at all?
Not yet.
Elevator?
Not yet.
Yeah.
Getting
But
there.
they're on our list.
That's
We're coming for you, Otis.
And schools too. A lot of schools can't. They got very tight budgets, if they have any budget at all. So all of their stuff is legacy equipment, which for those the laymen out there, it's old stuff.
It's most of it's all either out of warranty or obsolete equipment. So
So the manufacturer's got no love for you.
manufacturers, they don't care. You call them up, you have one of their boards in front of you, call them up, "Hey, I have this board." They're like, "Okay, what's your email address? Here's all the information." And I can say that now because,
Now, when you were looking to get in with the government and all that, contracts,
yes,
do they give preference to veteran-owned
they
businesses?
do. There are set-asides. There are veteran-owned set-asides. There's also service-disabled veteran-owned set-asides.
You're a twofer.
Yep, we cut that number down to that. So we have all those set-asides, and when they pop up, there might be 50 circuit board contracts, but there might only be 5 of them that service-disabled veterans can bid on, and those are, you can't touch them.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Those companies have to be 51% service-disabled owned.
Yeah. And now, so I guess since it's you and your wife, you're 51% of the marriage, and
Well, I check more boxes than she would.
okay.
And we looked at this thing. It's like, well, it's 50-50, right? And talking to the Small Business Association, they're like, Small Business Administration, sorry. They said, no, it has to be, one of you has to be 51%
Yep.
majority owner.
So
I say,
off the
okay.
clock, she's 51%. On the clock,
Basically, basically that's how it works. But we looked at the boxes that she checked, and it was like, okay, women-owned business, great. Then we looked at my boxes, and it's like,
Ding, ding,
okay,
ding.
minority business enterprise, veteran-owned, service-disabled, veteran. It's like, okay, I guess I'm the owner. I guess I own the company.
Now, is your wife a veteran?
No, she's not. My wife actually works with military children.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
She's
Good
a
for her.
toddler teacher at the Coast Guard Academy.
Oh, God bless her.
She takes care of the kids so mom and dad can go defend the country.
Wow.
One thing that we make it a point here on this show, we're up to, we're around what, 305, 306,
Yeah, I think even.
somewhere in that area. This show's been around since 2013 when I started it. one thing we like to do, and is hats off and thank you for your service, even though you didn't serve.
Yeah, to the spouse.
You are serving now.
Oh, absolutely.
And even if you did not serve, if you're a spouse, you certainly served.
You did your time, yeah.
So that's one thing that we here at the Veterans Corner, we always make sure that we make a point to emphasize that. And tell your wife, thank you for her service.
Will do.
And now you've got a contract with the VA, right?
Yes, we are working with the VA. We're just starting to work with the VA now for the healthcare equipment in the state of Connecticut. So that should be a pretty good one.
Yeah, because when you think about it, all the beds and chairs and things
all
are
the beds
all
and chairs
electronics.
There's a circuit board in every single one of them.
Wow.
So.
And now they've got, used to be clipboards, now it's the rolling kiosk.
That's the rolling kiosk. So another thing that we're able to say now is that we help keep veterans alive.
Hey, that's not nothing.
So that's...
You need to do
You say that the rolling kiosk.
the VA gives us a second chance to die for our country, but you're keeping us alive.
I'm trying to. I mean, I could speed it up.
Yeah. Everything's hackable. No, just kidding. Sort of.
Would you say a soldering gun? And I'm just throwing terms out there. I got no idea what I'm talking about.
It's just me with my soldering iron and my microscope. And another thing with my microscope, and I was telling Kat this, there's an organization called Work Vessels for Veterans.
Oh, yes.
And what they do is
I've heard of that.
They give grants and they give equipment to service-disabled veteran-owned businesses.
And we're going to try and get them on the show.
So
Yeah, I'm writing.
And tell how that got started. The name was...
So that got started. The one of the founders there, he had a lobster boat. I know he won't mind me telling this because he tells it all the time. He had a lobster boat that he was going to just get rid of. Well, there was a disabled veteran that was looking for a boat, and he thought,
Just give it to
hey,
them.
have this boat.
And therefore,
And then the light bulb went off, and then it got bigger, and it's a nationwide organization. They're right out of Mystic, Connecticut, right here.
You would figure it'd have to be somewhere around Lobster Boat.
Yeah. Somewhere on the coast,
Somewhere on the coast,
in the Northeast. And so it started out as vessels for veteran, but it's all kinds.
It's all kinds of equipment. So
Basically, if you
for
need
us,
something, you reach out to them and say, "Hey, this is something I could."
and there is an application for it. So if you do have a need, and
Fantastic.
you're a company,
Yeah, that's something we should.
Yeah, once he told me about him, I'm like, "Send me the contact. I'll get him on the show, definitely."
I've seen the billboards for them around the state.
great organization. Great organization.
Now, in 5 years, or what's your looking forward plan? Are you looking to scale up? Are you going to stay boutique?
We'd like to keep this the way it is and small. I get a lot of pushback and a lot of laughs when I tell people that, and other people who are in business for themselves and other people who have seen our plan and seen the direction, the trajectory of where we're actually going, and they laugh and they say, "Okay, man.
Yeah.
So you'll be hiring people in a few years." Oh, no, we're not. We're not hiring anybody. We would like to stay small. However, knowing again where we are going, we're probably going to end up having to subcontract some stuff out. It's inevitable for what we do. So,
You see so many businesses out there, especially in this climate, that are doing fine where they are. And they get overly, aggressive, and it usually leads to their demise.
Well, and one of the things people who are trying to scale upwards don't recognize is that you may be great at it, but you need to replicate yourself and your skill set.
that's it.
Or carve out the low-end jobs so that you can hire people to work for you, but you still have to maintain that span of control, because at the end of the day, it's your name, your brand.
Exactly.
And you have to get in front of that. But, so you may end up getting a shop and
And it could happen. It could happen. Well, and like I said, we would like to stay this small.
Yeah.
We don't want to hire anybody. And just throwing that out there, we're not hiring.
Taking a word.
A lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of headache comes with that, and on the tax side, and not just for with the employees themselves, on like with the taxes and with
Payroll.
the payroll
What
itself.
a nightmare.
It's just
My boss from my other job was, it went through 4 different evolutions of who's going to handle the payroll, and just things you don't even think about. What a nightmare.
and
Well,
dealing
it
with
takes away from the focus of the business.
Yeah.
that too.
Your mission.
If you like the tech side, stay small. If
that's
you want to
it.
get into management,
I
then you
spend
got to
enough
find some
time
good
in the
techs.
office as it is.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get out of the office every day and just go downstairs and get behind the bench and start,
busy.
and get busy, But then I look at it and an alarm goes off and it's like, hey, you got to file your monthly taxes. And it's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I forgot about that.
Now you had a story about the phone.
Yes.
I thought that was a great story.
When we got to Kuwait,
Your moment of inspiration.
and a moment of inspiration, it might have been that moment that, okay, what I'm doing and what I can do with this, it's pretty cool and it produces some pretty cool results. So we're in Kuwait, and there's like a bunch of wires, and I'm walking through this van
One of the
van
combo vans.
complex.
Yeah.
Yep. And we had our combo vans all interconnected and had like a hallway.
Oh, yeah,
and
the planks. Yep.
The whole nine. So walking through, and someone's like, hey, help me out with these wires. So we're, hooking up these wires. Okay, well, what did we just do? I said, hold on. Picks up a phone, dials it, one of those old TA1s, dials it
Ring-a-ding.
to the switchboard, gives him his parents' number, rings right through. And we're sitting out there, and it's like, pretty cool that we just did that with this combo wire, huh?
In the middle of the
In the
desert.
middle of the desert.
Suddenly you're on the grid with 2 little wires.
2 little wires, and it's just one of those, wow.
You're like,
That's amazing.
I get it. This is what we do.
So then, that light bulb goes off, and it's like, let me see if I can learn more about the ins and outs, not just know how to build the board, but know why. So I actually went back to school after Afghanistan and got my engineering degree.
Oh, excellent. All right. So now you're
So I ended up doing that so I
Next
could
level.
understand not just the how, but the why.
And then you were at a conference, and you had gone around scooping up as many certificates and
Yes, I did that also. When I started this out last year, I didn't know. It started off with 3 paragraphs. So I had 3 paragraphs written on a piece of paper on a Sunday night. I said, all right, Monday morning, I said, okay, well, who's my target? And what do people need? So I called over to Electric Boat, to their small business liaison officer. And I asked him, I said, hey, what would you need for circuit boards? And he says, well, we wouldn't need anything because we have a shop for that. I said, okay. He says, but, General Dynamics Mission Systems, they could probably use you. I said, okay. He says, have you talked to your Apex accelerator? I said, I don't know what that is. He says, okay. Have you talked to these people? And I said, I don't know who that is. He said, okay, do you have this? I said, I don't know what that is. He says, do you have this? He said, you know what? Just give me your email address. I'll just send you a list.
shopping list.
So he sends me this list of,
credentials.
people,
and
people to go courses and people to talk to and the whole 9. I ended up at Boots to Business about 2 weeks later, out through Mississippi State. Great course. It's a revenue readiness course. So it really taught me how to write a business plan. So ended up there about 2 weeks later. Ended up going through all the government registries and registrations, SAM.gov and DIBS and just you name them. All
the TLAs, which is 3-letter acronyms for
exactly.
the folks at home.
All of those. And so by the time I wanted to have everything done, I had in my mind that I needed everything to be done before we flipped the light switch on. Before we hit that light switch, I wanted everything, no rock unturned, all of that. So
Perfect plan.
Full resume.
When we finally flipped the light switch on, it was May 30th of last year, and we had everything.
And then they asked, who in this
And
crowd?
they asked, and my moment was, at the DoD matchmaking event, and I walked in, and I'm looking around. There might have been 300 or 400 businesses there, and I look around, and I'm like, oh, Chris, I feel like a fraud. I'm like, just feeling like I didn't belong, you know?
Yeah.
So the SBA gets up and they're talking about their different certifications, and they say, does anyone here have a certification through us? And I see some hands go up, and my hand goes up, and they say, you know, actually, could you guys just stand? And in a room of 300 to 400 people, there was only 7 of us. And I looked around the room.
So much for your initial thought.
And I had that thought.
You
and I
just
was
got
like,
shortlisted. Yeah.
Chris, you belong in this room.
That's
like,
playing smarter. Yeah.
So whatever room for me, there's not a room that I can walk into and not think I belong in there.
And you shouldn't.
And
You shouldn't feel that way.
it's just, and crossing that roadblock for me was just huge. Because I see people, another thing I went to was UConn's entrepreneurial boot camp for veterans. And someone there told me that they don't feel like they belong in the room.
Well,
and
even
that's their
as
biggest hurdle.
veterans, we don't feel like we belong anywhere.
Exactly.
So to be like, hey, you know what? I'm here. I'm on business.
Yeah.
I belong.
That's the biggest
kind of
thing.
a comfort zone for you. And now, what are some of the things you do for or with veterans? I mean, we met at the Silkies hike.
Yes,
the
we did.
Irreverent
Yes, we did.
Warriors.
So I've been going to those Silkies hikes since, when did they start in Connecticut?
6 years ago.
So 6 years. Been doing that for 6 years. Actually, shortly after that, I had one of my friends from the Marine Corps committed suicide.
Oh, jeez.
He battled addiction for a while and got himself straightened out, got himself cleaned up. I talked to him. I remember speaking to him over the phone, and 2 weeks later, it was an overdose.
Yep.
So I realized that I might love my Marines, but I don't trust them. I don't trust them because I could be talking with them on the phone,
Tell you what they
and they
need you
could
to
tell
hear.
me that they're great, and they could have a needle sticking out of their arm.
Yeah.
So I turned around and I wrote this whole thing up for my Marines in one of my units out of Lejeune. And I told everyone, I said, hey, you're getting on this Zoom call. So I do a monthly Zoom call.
Oh.
It's every second Friday of the month, so it's actually coming up tomorrow night. Do a monthly Zoom call. It's a check-in. It's a mental health check-in. There's no obligation to get on the call. There's no obligation to stay once you're on it. But I need to lay eyes on you, I told them. Because I don't trust you guys. I need to put my eyes on you.
Check 22. Yeah.
So they get on, we have a good time, stuff like that.
You know, it just dawned on me a couple minutes ago. I knew you from somewhere. We've met before.
Where's that?
Little Red Barn.
Yes, Little Red Barn. Okay.
You guys had a function going up there. Eric was there. There was probably about 3 or 4 of you.
Okay.
And you were trying to get me to get out and join the Silkies hike out in Norwich.
Yes.
Yes.
So
I think 2 years ago.
So you've also met my wife then?
Yes.
Okay.
Small world.
That's right.
Very small world.
You know, you saw me go like this. It's because it dawned on us.
A light bulb.
I knew. Yeah. It's good to see you again.
Likewise.
Now, if they want
great.
to get on that Zoom call, is there a link or you
this-
have a website? So
well,
tell
I've
us
been-
about your website.
A little bit about our website.
Just first give the address.
The
'cause we're
website
short on
is
time.
cmbcircuits.com. You can find us there, find out any more information you'd like about what we do as a company. There's a little bio about myself, a bio about my wife, how we got started in this whole thing. So for any more information, you can go to cmbcircuits.com. We can be found on Facebook and Instagram under CMB Circuits. Just punch that in, search for us. And we have a YouTube channel that has no content on it right now, but look for content
This show
coming
will be
soon.
the first
This
thing.
show will be the first thing
on
on it.
In
So
about 2 weeks.
Yeah, you were wondering where you're going to drink that 50-year-old whiskey on.
I'm
Now
wondering
you
when,
go.
yes.
We'll have a
and
viewing party.
have a 50-year-old whiskey and have
Okay.
no idea what to do with it. So
We've got about 30 seconds left. Got less than that. Chris, it was an absolute honor.
yes, thank you.
It,
Thank you,
it,
Chuck.
we'd love to have you back again. Give us an update.
Absolutely.
How you're doing and if we can help you in any way, that'd be great.
Absolutely, I appreciate
That's
that.
what we're here for.
I do appreciate it.
With that being
Thank you for
said,
having me.
Kat, another show has come to an end.
Good night, everybody.
Want to thank our sponsors, the VFW Post 254 in Hartford. They were the ones that gave us quite a donation for these mugs a couple years ago. They're still going strong. Also, actually on top of that, a small portion that was given by a gentleman by the name of Bruce Kaczynski, a good friend of mine. So he helped out with the mugs also. I'm going back in time, Pam Shea for the POW MIA flag, and I'm sure we've had other people in the past that have helped out. So with that being said, I'm getting the word to wrap it, so that's what we're going to do. We want to thank the viewers for watching this show. Till the next time on the Veterans Corner. Good night.
The water's warm at Jaws Pond, and we're stocked full of treasures. Big or small, we buy it all. We buy and sell fast rides, power tools, vintage guitars, and so much more. Walk the plank in style with our fine jewelry, diamonds, and watches. Plus, we have a huge selection of the latest video games, including the new PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. Jaws Pond, conveniently located on Meriden Waterbury Turnpike in Southington and West Main Street in New Britain.